Hey everybody, Chris with Up North Air Gunner. So today we are here with the FX Impact M3, and I've been giving you hints about what this is for the last few months on my social media network. I've been talking about barrel harmonics, I've been talking about harmonic tuning. Well, today is the day I actually get to finally tell you about the M3. And hey, look, we all know the FX Impact has been basically the top of the heap for competition shooting. It's been the top of the heap for hunting, just hole-in-hole groups. We know that's what the FX Impact is known for. But with this platform, they've really taken all of that to the next level. And we all know how just micro-adjustable previous versions have been. This literally just blows that out of the water, okay? So the features that they've baked into this is taken all of those things, but made adjustability at a much, much higher level. All right, so here we've got the quick tune system, quite a bit different than the Mark II. So now you just have 1 through 16 on your macro adjustment. And then you've got this small barrel adjuster here on your micro adjustment. And what's so awesome about this is now we're gonna be able to share tunes online with your buddies in the forums and talk about, you know, different projectiles you're shooting. And then really when you gotta get really precise, really tuning in that velocity right down to just a few feet per second, you can use the micro adjuster then just to really dial in that velocity, and using your chronograph, seeing shot to shot, making sure your velocities are super tight. So above all things, that is super important to make sure you've got that really dialed in before you do any of the other harmonic tuning. So another great feature of the new FX Impact M3 is the new first regulator that's embedded and integrated right into where your bottle attaches to the platform. And this thing right here is just a stroke of genius. The way that they were able to establish this, super easy to adjust this. That's your regulated pressure for the first regulator. And what this is doing is it's just kind of, it's an insurance policy to make sure that by the time your second regulator takes over the regulated pressure that's going into your plenum, you know that shot to shot, you're gonna get very tight standard deviations and extreme spreads on velocity. These are the two features that are really giving the FX M3 that ability just to keep those velocities super tight. All right, so with my FX M3, I've got this in the 22 caliber, and the reason I really wanted to look at this is to really push this thing as hard and as fast as it can possibly go. And in order to do that, we're using the new the pin probe. So you can see the pin probe right there going in and out as compared to a pellet probe. This is allowing maximum airflow into and through the transfer port to basically hit the back of that slug and just push it as fast as it possibly can. So in addition to the pin probe here for slugs, inside, which you just can't see though, we actually have spacers on the hammer springs. And so that's just gonna give you more preload. And it's just gonna give you higher power shot to shot, which is what you're gonna really need when you're slinging slugs. And so inside the transfer port, we've got the dual transfer port technology that has the ability to shoot pellets on one side, flip it around, and then you've got the ability to basically get maximum airflow through that transfer port with the dual transfer port with that bridge. So that way, when you're putting your slugs in, it's not diving into that hole and getting lodged. It rides along that bridge and seats perfectly into the barrel. All right, so for my M3, I opted for the angled second regulator gauge, and I'm really excited about this feature. Once the digital gauges come out, this is gonna be super important when doing precision shooting. So you're gonna be able to see just within a few bar to make sure that regulated pressure into the plenum is exactly the same shot to shot. So another great feature here is in the rail system. We've got 20 MOA built into the rail. The reason why this is important, a lot of times when you get into air guns, you'll notice that you have to really just crank your scope all the way out just to get a good zero at 40, 50 yards. By adding in that 20 MOA into the rail, you're able to use basically all the elevation adjustments in your scope, not having to crank it all the way out. So that way you're just getting a better chance to use the very center of your scope, which is optically centered, which is going to give you the most precise, clear picture in your scope glass. So another one of the new features that I'm really excited about is this new cocking lever. One, it has a shorter throw, which is great. You don't have to basically have to pull it back so fast. So during speed shooting or just cycling your ammunition is just so much more ergonomic, being able to flip that back and forth really quick. And also the size of the actual cocking lever arm. It's just larger, knurled finish. So up here in the front, I'm super excited that FX is going to be shipping all of the sniper configuration, FX Impacts M3s with the 700mm barrel. You're getting a 500cc bottle with that configuration, and that makes a huge difference when you're going to be shooting heavy slugs. You're going to be burning through air pretty quick. So yeah, that 580cc bottle it's a must-have, quite honestly. And today I'm going to be demonstrating this with actually the slug heavy liner in this. We're shooting 34 and 40 grain slugs. So the twist rate and all the configurations that they've specifically done with that heavy liner really is conducive to, let's say in the 22 caliber, probably the 30 grain, 32 grain, 34 grain, 40 grain slugs. You're going to really want to have that specific configuration for shooting some heavy for caliber ammo. The other thing I want to talk to you about today is I gave you a lot of hints in a lot of these posts I've been making up to this point where I started just talking incessantly about barrel harmonics. And so this is something that I've been just struggling with ever since I got into air guns, because a lot of times air guns have a smaller barrel profile. You look at guys that are shooting like F-class and ELR, PRS, they're running bull barrels that are like 1.25 inches thick. The barrel sleeves that we have in these things are relatively pretty thin. And so as we increase velocities and pressures and power in this stuff, that harmonic frequency, you got to be able to both control it, and you also have to be able to tame it. And so what FX has done is they've come out with a carbon fiber sleeving kit. And what they're doing is they're tensioning that barrel. So you have a lighter weight barrel that has almost like the characteristics of a large bull barrel. So FX is doing something very similar with the carbon fiber sleeving they have in there. So to me, that's kind of taming your harmonics. So I'm super excited today to talk to you about something that I've been working with FX, and that's actually to come out with a shroud integrated harmonic barrel tuning system. So what we did is come up with a two-step approach where we put a dampening system in the shroud and also a tuning weight at the muzzle. And so the dampening, what that does is it quiets down the barrel. Okay, you kind of think of it like a raspy note becomes more of like a clear note. What if we wanted to change that note from like a C to a D or an E or an F sharp or whatever it is? You can do that with your barrel tuner on the end. And so depending on what ammunition you're shooting or what velocity you're shooting, sometimes we don't want to go back to our hammer spring settings and the regulator, because if you found that point where every shot is like almost exactly the same velocity, you might not just don't touch that. So up to this point, we've been harmonic tuning our platforms with velocity, and I call that indirect harmonic tuning. So basically we're making our projectiles going faster or slower, and what we're doing is we're just trying to time it to leave the barrel at the right time, so we're putting hole-in-hole groups, right? Well, imagine having a system be basically find that perfect velocity where it's as fast as you want it to go. Shot to shot is just within a few feet per second standard deviation and extreme spread for velocity. And if you want to just tighten that group up, you basically just dial the weight that's at the end of the barrel, and it's moving it by like thousandths of an inch. And just that small amount of change, you'll see your groups go from like 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, down to 1/4 inch. And what I've seen through this testing is it creates this sort of almost like a strobing effect as you rotate that barrel weight up and down. So what that's doing is if you think of a wave going up and down like this, you're just finding different points of that wave where that weight is basically changing the center of gravity to find that perfect harmonic accuracy node. All right, so we're just going to rotate it 2 hashes. All right, so we're going to rotate it 2 more. That right there is how it's done. Well, let's go check that out. So guys, what you're doing with this is basically I just got that gun just wound all the way up. I mean, it is just firing those slugs as fast as it possibly can go. And what we're doing is we're controlling the barrel harmonics and not tuning with velocity. So yards, 2 more hashes was here, got a little worse. Check that out. There's been a lot of testing that I've been able to do without even touching the regulated pressure, the hammer spring tension, and just doing it with the harmonic tuning weight. I can get sub MOA groups at 100 yards and beyond. So with that said, you can't fix stupid. What I mean by that is you have to make sure your projectiles are stable. So if you're pushing pellets, for instance, extremely fast, and they start spiraling out of control, you can't fix that with a barrel tuner or really anything else. So you really need to bring that velocity back down to where you have stable flight of your projectiles. So what FX has done is they've basically taken the most tunable and adjustable platform that we had in the Mark II and just basically doing that no other company is doing in the industry right now, is being able to control your harmonic tune both indirectly with your velocity and directly with actually all of these goodies that are going on in the shroud. So super excited to show you guys what this can do. We're gonna shoot some groups. So, all right, let's check those out. All right, for today's demonstration, we're gonna be shooting 2 different slugs. We're gonna be shooting the Patriot Javelin 34 grains and then also the Patriot Javelin 30 grains. I've got these right here, the 34 grains, slinging out about 1,010, 1,015 feet per second. And I've got these over 1,050. I mean, these are just laser beams. So I was only having to click 26 MOA for these things to be just slug on slug at 200 yards. Cannot wait for the Utah Airguns to be getting these in stock. Just gives us another great ammunition choice with slugs with the FX Airguns. All right, here we go. 100 yards, let's see what we can do. Oh, let's go check that out. That is looking really good. Oh my God. Dude, absolutely crazy. So have to watch that in slow-mo again because I might have pulled one of these 2. I can't tell if that's all 5 shots. But guys, that's 4 right there, 100 yards. Might have just been a flyer. Can't tell. I'll have to go back and review the footage. But, I mean, just look at that. A little bit of a wind, a little right to left. Keep rolling with that. Not bad. Good 5-shot group there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll take that. All right, so check it out. Pinky, there's my thumb. I'll have to measure that, but that is not bad at all. That's not bad. Let's go check that out. Ooh. So again, just tuning with the Harmonic Barrel Tuner, which is integrated into the shroud. Man, look at that. That is looking mighty good. So all this adjustability is fantastic. You know, we can get super tight accuracy groups with this. But the other thing that the M3 has is this huge power plenum. This is the new power plenum 720. As we all know, having a large plenum that we've been taught through the previous versions of the power plenum, it allows us to shoot at lower pressures and higher, basically, foot-pounds of energy, but not have to crank our pressure up really high. With this really large plenum, what this is doing though is now that we can run like slug kits in the power slug kit and like heavy for caliber projectiles, this is now shooting really, really close to the power of a 22 long rifle. And I know a lot of you guys out there, yeah, 22 LR, that's not that big of a deal. So being a big bore airgun guy, when I first got into this, I'm like, oh yeah, big bore airguns, they have the power of a firearm. But what we're talking about is like pistol cartridges. Like a 45 ACP is equivalent like to, let's say, a big bore 45 or 50 cal, right? It's apples to oranges. It's not the same. This is getting really close to one of the very first air guns in my mind where it's like the same caliber and also the same power, right? So I know there's 22 LR cartridges out there that are supersonic, you know, going 1,400 feet per second. But if you really analyze what the precision shooters that are doing in the like 22 NRL competitions, they're shooting subsonic ammo. They're shooting like Lapua Center X, which is like 1,050 feet per second, 40 grain projectiles. With 34 grain projectiles with this, we're over 1,000 feet per second. With 40 grain projectiles, with some custom lids that I've got for my magazines here, we're getting really close to 1,000 feet per second. So I know this is a kind of a big claim, but this is probably one of the very first airgun platforms in our industry that's getting close to that precision and power of a firearm. And I know a lot of you guys out there, they're like, well, that's not why I shoot air guns. That's not why I'm in this. You know, I got into brake barrels or whatever because I just want to plink in the backyard. The FX Impact can basically tune itself all the way down to do that same thing. So you don't have to shoot at those very high powers. The fact is that the platform can. So what we're doing out here today, we're actually shooting 34 grain and 40 grain projectiles that have the same ballistic coefficient as that Lapua Center X competition match grade ammo. Just think about that for a second. To go from pellets to basically a precision firearm capable level of ballistic projectile, to me that's just mind-blowing. So we're out here, some pretty stiff wind. We're gonna show you some video clips of the American flag out here. Good old Glory, she's just straight out in the wind. And I'm holding groups like this out here, guys. So anyway, that's kind of what excited me about this. Our friends over in South Africa, they only shoot 22 because legally that's really kind of the only thing they can shoot. And I know a lot of times we say, hey, in America, bigger is better, right? We want 30 cal, we want 35 cal. Those are great calibers. But really, the only thing you're really getting with those is just more foot-pounds of energy. And that matters when you're talking about hunting coyotes and some larger animals. But guys, this is getting close to over 80 foot-pounds of energy. And I'll tell you what, that'll take down a coyote. It will take down a coyote. Perfect shot placement, the precision that this offers. So, you know, to my friends over there in South Africa, I think you have now converted me to the 22. And yes, bigger is better here in the United States and good old America, but it's bigger BC. And that's what matters at long range. So, all right, let's take some long range shots here and let's check it out. All right, guys, this is what we're gonna do. 3-man competition. First person to hit the ball wins.
So you have bragging rights for the whole adventure.
Bragging rights for the whole adventure. So what do you think, Pete?
Well, unfortunately, what I just equated this to is like, you know, 150-yard hole-in-one shot, okay, that we're going to be lucky and make the shot. It's not because of this wonderful weaponry that I'm holding right now, but it's our lack of talent, I think, that's going to be involved here. And of course, I may hit the first shot. We'll see.
All right. Oh! Dude, you gotta come see this. It went like around the ball. See the big divot in the cardboard just to the right of it?
Yeah. You're kidding. You're kidding.
Oh my God.
Right on it. Oh! Go look.
Close.
Right above it.
One more round each.
Okay.
One more round. 2 shots each.
All right, here you go. Bottom of the 9th.
I don't know.
That does it.
Good job, bro.
All right. Better be you.
job.
You're the
Good
one who
job.
works at this. All right. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
Good
redemption.
job.
There you go.
Good stuff.
That's it.
So there's actually kind of a bigger story in all of this that I want to share with you all.
I would love that.
So I'm going to tell the whole story, Freddie. So, so Freddie was asking me all these questions, you know, really asking me really good technical questions about all of this. And, you know, honestly, you're, you know, genuinely interested about the platform.
What I love is you take something that most people think is simple, an air gun, and you think about all the complicated things that my mind isn't capable of doing, and you make this thing shoot like a sniper, and you make people like me look good in front of guys like you.
So let's talk about that for a second, because the rest of that story is what he was doing was basically gathering intel from me to basically beat me at my own game. So Freddie and I go out, and he's like, tell me about these turrets. And so I'm talking about ballistic coefficients and da-da-da-da-da. I give him a simple ballistic solution, and he goes over here, offhand, second shot, ring steel at 150 yards. No way! Dude, what the heck?
I got it. Okay, I got it now. I got it.
Come on.
I got it.
Second shot. He just rolls up. How many am away?
24. We got it.
What he didn't tell me is this dude has got ice flowing through his veins and has got the steadiest freaking offhand shooting I think I've ever seen. So, you know what?
We actually got lucky, and some days, you know, we obviously are more steady than others.
Okay.
I was in a good place. But actually, I think the point is, in all seriousness, you know, just the fact that you're a professional, and, you know, we're professional hunters, but it's a whole different game. And there's so much that we have to learn to be able to really play at your game. And that's what I love about Chris and a lot of the guys that are part of the FX team, is that they have the ability to take something so complicated and make it simple for guys like me to understand, and then take advantage of what they know to be able to really hit the targets and make ourselves look good. So thank you for making me look good off of what you know. Isn't that amazing how that works so seriously? So
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed the last few days of us being able to spend time and you kind of helping me, you know, understand so much more, and really a sophisticated process made simple. And that's why FX is the best.
Absolutely. You know, and one, it's at the end of the day, it's like, it comes down to marksmanship.
Yeah.
Right? It's between that human interface with the trigger, you and the game animal, you and the target, whatever it is you're shooting at. And what I love about this platform is that, you know, everybody says, like, if I do my part, right, this allows you to do your part, all right? So it takes the sort of the X factor of your equipment out of the equation. So if you know you've been practicing your marksmanship, when the moment counts, you know that the equipment's gonna perform for you. Right. And I think when we talk about these different disciplines of hunting or shooting, at the end of the day, we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm hooked.